Hey, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the background noise, kids are a little crazy right now. But if you have one of these Bosch style dryers that are ventless, that don't have the actual vent stack and just deal with it in heat pump mode or an exchanger mode, there's a common problem with these where they're going to give a DR error. I'm going to show you how to clean out the bottom part that causes that. Here we go. So this is our Bosch 500 series dryer. This is a ventless design, so it's got kind of a heat exchanger system in here that puts a little bit of heat out but no moisture and doesn't require any direct venting at all. In order for the system to work, there is a kind of radiator on the inside that pulls the moisture out of the air and then recycles the heat back in. It's a very efficient system, but it does require a bit of maintenance. So first thing that's going to be necessary whenever you get this type of error, just as a general kind of rule, is you want to open this up. This will cover up. And this guy pulls out, and this needs to be cleaned pretty regularly. So you can kind of take a hose and spray out the fins here or soak it in your sink, wash this out. So this will be the first thing. But then in here, all sorts of lint and everything gets gathered in this space. So you want to clean all of that out of the way. And if you're getting the DR error, what that typically means is there's a problem with the drain, which is back there. So it's a little bit hard to show, but in the base, there's a little panel. You can see the tabs for it sticking up. You're gonna need to use these little kind of flat, short screwdrivers to get in there, and you pry that panel up. And inside that panel is a little sump pump that pumps the water out of here and actually runs that out to your drain. If that gets full of lint, which happens with these, it doesn't drain properly, and then your basin fills up with water and can't empty. All right, so inside the dryer then, there's this panel, which you're gonna need to lift up and remove. To do that, there are these plastic clips on it that have to get pushed kind of in. So let's see how this is shaped. They get kind of pulled towards you and then lifted up. That's very difficult to do, because your space is very limited. What I found works the best is to use a precision flat-headed screwdriver and just get it under the front edge of this panel and just gently lift and kind of pry, and that'll pop these clips out, because it's very difficult to pull these in while also lifting up in the amount of space that you have inside there. So precision screwdriver, get it under the edge, pry up just gently, and that'll pop this panel loose. So once we've done that, we'll have access to the sump pump itself, which is down here, and you can kind of see all of that dark. I'll turn my light on here. You see all of that lint that kind of gets clogged in there. That's going to stop the sump pump from clearing. There shouldn't be water actually in this space at all. So we're going to reach in here, we're going to clean all of that out so that we can free the sump pump so that it can drain properly. So that's the kind of sludge you're gonna get out of there. It's just lint that's been completely soaked in water. It's very slimy, not super pleasant. But you wanna clean as much of that out of there as possible, and then use a towel and get all the water out and just kind of clean, again, as much of that out, because that's what's stopping the drain from actuating properly. So I got as much as I could by hand and then used a towel, and you can see how much more there was. I mean, this is just taking this in, soaking up the water, rubbing it around in that space and getting that as clean as possible. And I'll show you the result here in a second. Okay, so here's the end result that we're looking for. So we got all that lint out. I'll get just a little bit more that's kind of clogged up here. But back there is the pump itself. You can see I still have some sludge on it. So I'm gonna reach back into that valley, get as much of that cleaned off that cover so it can realize when there is water in here. But you wanna get as much of this out as you can to avoid it from flowing back into the pump and blocking things up. All right, so when you're done, this is what we're looking for. So you see we got all that sludge cleaned off of there as much as possible. You're not gonna get 100%, but just get most of it. It's gonna allow it to properly register. I've got the rest of this cleaned out as much as I can as well. I'm gonna get a little bit more of the lint from kind of back in that space as well, just wiping those walls down as much as possible while we're in here. We'll piece it back together and run it through a test. So an additional tip for you related to this problem, you want to make sure that you're cleaning this space around the edge of where your filter goes regularly, the seal. And also on your filter box itself, instead of just cleaning the inside, you gotta make sure you're cleaning around this outside edge. So you can see ours is pretty dirty. So what happens is that lint that builds up on the edge stops this from sitting flat, and then it allows lint to blow past the filter, which is how it gets into this channel and then eventually down there and around your pump. So if you keep all of that clean, it'll minimize the amount of lint that gets past, and that will minimize how often you have to clean that out. That being said, you should plan to take all of this apart and clean it probably every month or two. And then that trap underneath and cleaning around the pump, I'd say probably every 3 months. All right, dryer has been running for about 30 minutes without the DR error, so I believe that we have this one solved. This being the end of a DIY dad video, I of course owe you a dad joke. So why is money so dirty? Well, money laundering's illegal. All right, remember, with any DIY project, doesn't have to be perfect. Most important step is just to do it. Stay safe, like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. Catch you on the next one. Bye.